Who are the best players in the NBA? The answer to this question is always changing, and it's something I like to answer every offseason. We've gotten enough time to reflect on last season and to get a good perspective of the landscape of the NBA. Ranking players is always fun and puts into perspective who is at the top of the league and where they lie amongst their peers. And the one thing different about my list is that I'm not going to take much consideration in injuries or players just not playing. This list is strictly the best players in the game when everyone is playing. But before we go over the top 25 players in the NBA, let's shout out some honorable mentions first. The honorable mentions go out to Brandon Ingram, Darius Garland, Bradley Beal, Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, and James Harden. And I know James Harden not being in the top 25 players in the league is crazy, but hear me out. He was an MVP candidate in 2021, and since then, he's fallen off a cliff. The fact that he's had an MVP and Hall of Fame career makes people think he's better than he actually is. He always fades away in the playoffs, and even last season with lowered expectations, he still underperformed. Hopefully he can prove me wrong next season, but as of now, I would take these 25 players over James Harden. Starting in the bottom row, we have Khris Middleton, Pascal Siakam, DeMar DeRozan, Jaylen Brown, and Zach LaVine. Khris Middleton is a proven championship second option, and if he was healthy in the playoffs, I think the Bucks would have gone from a second round exit to a finals or potentially a championship run. Pascal Siakam was an All-NBA team member, and it feels weird having him down at number 24. He did deserve the All-NBA selection, but I don't think he's better than anyone I have in front of him. With DeRozan, JB, and LaVine, they all have similar roles on their team, and that's why it's so close. I think JB's defense puts him over DeRozan, and DeRozan also underperforms in the playoffs. I think LaVine's scoring versatility slightly puts him over Brown, and I trust the ball in his hands more. Players 20 through 16 are Karl Anthony Towns, Zion Williamson, Donovan Mitchell, Kyrie Irving, and Trae Young. Now let's address the elephant in the room, Zion Williamson. And he's looking a lot better recently compared to when he looked like the elephant in the room, but it's hard to judge him because he sat out the entire season. But we can't forget what he did when he was healthy. He was a 27 point per game scorer on 61% shooting. Hopefully he can get back to that, and the Pelicans will be a scary team. On the other hand, even though we haven't seen Kyrie play much last season, we know exactly what to expect. When ranking Kyrie, I'm not taking into consideration how many games he missed last season, but when healthy, he's the 17th best player in the league. Donovan Mitchell was ranked higher in my books last season, but his defense has fallen off a cliff. That's the main reason why he's below Trae Young. They have similar roles on their team, but I believe Trae is doing a much better job. Even though Trae's defense is still worse, I believe the offensive gap makes up for it. He's one of the best offensive players in the league, but his defense is holding him back from being in front of players such as Devin Booker, Jimmy Butler, Ja Morant, Paul George, and Damien Lillard. And I don't think Devin Booker gets enough criticism for the Suns' failure. A lot of people say Chris Paul needs to be more aggressive, and I agree, but Devin Booker should have played much better in the playoffs. In the two closeout games against the Mavs, he put up 19 and 11 points on 35 and 21% from the field. And that's as the first option on the team. If he just executed down the stretch in these past playoffs and the Suns saw more success, he would be higher up on this row. Jimmy Butler is a funny one. He gets a lot better in the playoffs compared to the regular season, and it's tough balancing the two when ranking him. After the bubble, I think we overrated him a bit, and then underrated him the next year, but I think we found out how good he is. He's an all-star in the regular season and a top 10 player in the playoffs. Like Trae Young, Ja Morant is a great offensive player, but is just terrible on defense. I think his leadership puts him at this spot, leading the Grizzlies to the second seed in the NBA last season, and he performs well in the playoffs. PG-13 might not be the offensive player Ja is, but I think the defensive gap outweighs the offensive gap. Damian Lillard was either out last season or playing on an injury. I believe that when healthy, Dame is in the conversation as a top 10 player of the league. His leadership, consistency, and offensive play puts him at the front of this row. Now starting the top 10 players in the league. We have Anthony Davis, Jason Tatum, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, and Joel Embiid. When healthy, I think Anthony Davis is a top 10 player in the league. If I were to include his injury history, he would be much lower on the list, but I think a lot of people forgot how good Anthony Davis is. Jason Tatum is here thanks to his amazing playoff run. He showcased that he could be the capable number 1 option, and even with the poor finals performance, he still had an incredible playoff run nonetheless. LeBron, Kawhi, and Embiid were all really close in my eyes, but I decided on this order. Last season, LeBron was putting more energy on the offensive end and scoring more points, and his defense just wasn't there. That's the only reason I have Kawhi and Embiid in front of him. When healthy, Kawhi Leonard is arguably the best player in the league. In 2019, he was by far the best. I think he's taken a slight step back, and it's tough to measure how good he is coming off of his ACL tear. Joel Embiid is a bit easier to rank though. He finished second in MVP voting last season, and he's one of the most diverse offensive players in the league, while being a top defender as well. He is on par with some of the players ahead of him, but they just edge him out. To finish the top 25 list, here are the best of the best. At number 5, we have Kevin Durant. After Kevin Durant's bad playoff performance, it's tough to put him any higher than 5. He is supposed to be the most unstoppable player in the league, but he was held to 39% from the field in a sweep. But on the other hand, Luka Doncic's playoff performance got him the number 4 spot. The Mavericks went to the Western Conference Finals, and Luka Doncic didn't have any all-star caliber help. He single-handedly took down the number 1 seeded Suns, and we are seeing the growth to a generational career. At number 3, I have Nikola Jokic. He is a back-to-back MVP, and no one in the league can stop him. In the playoffs, he was still able to play great with the worst help in the entire playoffs. His defense has shown some improvement, but in the playoffs, it wasn't good at all. We could cut him some slack because of the huge offensive load he has to carry, but bad defense is bad defense at the end of the day. He's one of the best offensive engines in the league, and that's enough for him to be number 3 in my books. In recent history, usually the Finals MVP is crowned as the best player in the league. Kawhi in 2019, LeBron in 2020, Giannis in 2021, but this year it's different. Curry had an incredible playoff performance, especially in the finals, and that's why he is number 2. He averaged 31, 6, and 5, and 2 on 48% from the field and 44% from 3. Like Jokic, Curry is also one of the best offensive engines in the league, and his leadership is on another level. But no one is better than Giannis Antetokounmpo right now. He forced 7 games against the Celtics, and you couldn't ask much more from him last season. He was playing at an MVP caliber level, and he made the All-NBA first team and the All-Defensive first team. He had a historic championship run in 2021, and he hasn't slowed down. Giannis is getting a bit better year after year, and he is only 27 years old. His offense mixed with his defense, mixed with his leadership and winning mentality, all tie into why he is the best player in the NBA right now. Here was my ranking in 2021, and this is my ranking in 2022. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a like as it does help me a lot. I read every single comment, so let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.